everybody. Welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
Okay. The Olympics are happening, and Christina just brought up Olympians dating. So we need to talk about this.
Well, I do believe I've heard like the Olympic Village is pretty similar to anything like theater camp or anything like that, where you get a whole bunch of people together and they're
horny
and they're hot.
And they're
these are like athletes at the top of their game. You got a bunch of hard bodies together from all over the fucking world.
They're in the
what's
city
your
of
flavor?
love.
Yeah. And I'm like, and you want them not to fuck? Let Olympians fuck. That is my platform.
I heard they were handing out condoms.
I hope so.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
As they should do. But they've got these beds. These beds went viral last time too. And then they brought them back where they're like anti-sex beds. Like trying to prevent them from fucking each other. And I'm like, who cares? What is this like? Are you the Kellogg guy in like 1935 where you're like, no, they can't pole vault if they
eat
fucked
a
the night before.
Cereal, they won't.
Like, stop it.
Also, I think like being an Olympic athlete, because you know me, fitness is my passion.
Yes. Yes. We've always said this about you.
I am sore just existing.
Girl,
why don't they get the best beds? Do you know what I mean?
Truly.
They're doing the most with their bodies. I feel like
you've heard about the food.
The food. They're also not getting good food.
Oh my
in the Olympic Village.
Awful food.
Which I'm just like, again, like your body is a temple. If you are an Olympian,
right?
Like you need, like I think Great Britain had to bring their own chef for their weightlifters because there wasn't enough protein allocated because they need a certain amount of protein.
Insane.
Like you're asking your body to do something very specific,
right? And you should be able to get a good meal, a good night's sleep, and a fuck if you want to. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
I have nothing
exactly
against
right.
it. Yeah, I guess Grindr turned off location-based stuff, but Bumble and Tinder have seen an increase of users with the job descriptions Olympian and athlete.
Are they changing those settings to prevent normies from hooking up with Olympians?
Maybe.
Like
Maybe.
What?
Oh my God.
Because
normies.
If they want to hook up with a peasant me, allow it.
Yeah.
Simone Biles hooked up with a normie, right?
Ish.
Normie adjacent. Actually, though, Grindr did say if an athlete is not out or comes from a country where being LGBTQ plus is dangerous or illegal, using Grindr can put them at risk of being outed by curious individuals who may try to identify and expose them on the app. So actually, kudos to Grindr. That's actually, a good point. I didn't think about that. But yeah, that bed just makes me angry. Just looking at the picture of the bed.
It looks like a summer camp bed. It does.
Oh.
Yeah. It looks like not a great mattress, like, I don't know.
I've heard too that you can go to Paris right now for nothing because they had all the prices hiked up so high for people to go. But like right now the prices have dropped. Like you can get go to Paris for a song. Oh, so cheap.
Speaking of trying to go someplace for cheap. So like, I don't know, a week and a half ago, not like a few days after Vice President Harris announced her candidacy or whatever, I was like, oh man, I want to go to the inauguration. Bitch, it's already booked. It's been booked. It is not available. I was like, damn, people moved fast.
Like, no.
Like
no,
it was within a few days because I was like, oh man, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, no.
I bet it would still be cool to be in DC when it happened. Just I bet there's lots of parties and lots of things. I mean, I love that we're getting so ahead of ourselves that like when it happens, I love this manifestation we're doing.
Yeah,
right now.
Fingers so crossed.
Fingers, toes.
You know what I'm not looking forward to is the Olympics when they take place in Los Angeles.
Oh,
why? Why are we doing that?
Chris was like, we should go back home when they do the Olympics in Los Angeles. I'm like,
are you kidding me?
High?
I am doing all of my grocery shopping the week before and not leaving my house.
No.
During that.
You can't even navigate this city normally.
No.
Yeah.
No. I bet you my work would be like, you know what? Stay home.
Right.
Stay home until the Olympics is over.
I think the best part of LA is that it's so spread out that you can kind of avoid it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want to.
Well, yeah.
It's like
what is LAX going to be like? Are they even going to be done with all those shenanigans by then?
Horrifying.
Honestly, the shenanigans will never end.
We don't have the infrastructure for this. I don't know what we're going to do. But whatever.
Yep. We don't have the infrastructure for the people who are already there.
Yeah.
So
amen to
100%.
that. That is 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, did you guys see this thing? There was a woman in Chicago, and we've talked about this before. That's just like, or there've been tweets about it where it's like every guy should have to have a reference from like 3 women to be on a dating site, right? Like they should have to be recommended. So there was a woman in Chicago who did create a meetup where every guy who came, it was like a dating meetup, where every guy who came to the meetup had to be vouched for by a girl who was there.
Love.
And I was
love
that is so genius and so wholesome. Like I saw the video and I was like, I feel safe. You know, like looking at that, I was like, that looks safe.
Although we have had bad dates from people who's like a friend set me up with, you know what I mean?
It's not foolproof.
No, nothing is.
No.
Except for the bear. But but yeah, it's,
I do think the ex-girlfriend thing. Like I want to like a reference from an ex-girlfriend. Who's like, you know what? He was incredibly a great guy, just wrong timing, wasn't for me. Otherwise we would totally be together.
Yeah.
I think you do learn a lot. They were talking, I think it was on some podcast I was listening to. I think it was Daily Zeitgeist. They were talking about that, where they were saying, you know, people always drag exes when they come out with like tell-alls on powerful men or famous men. And it's like, no, actually, that's who I trust them. That's who I most want to hear from. You want to know what somebody is really like? Figure out what they were like in a relationship, in a long-term relationship, right? Because like you can fake shit with in a lot of other scenarios, but your ex-girlfriend, if you're a tech billionaire, I want to know. I want to know what your ex-girlfriends have to say about you.
Yeah. She knows that you like chew your toenails off and like spit them to the side of the bed.
Ew. That's too much. Too far.
You know, I've heard some gross shit. First of all, I have to say this because it's still bothering me and it happened like a month ago. But when I was in New Mexico, when I was in Missouri, at the end of the night, went to take my contacts out. And I took out my left contact and then I went to take out my right contact and could not fucking find it. And the amount that I spent like poking my actual eyeball, being like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Could not find it. To this day, have no idea. Just gave up on it and was like, well, guess maybe it fell out. I don't know.
Oh my God.
And I because I'm like, is this
How's
how
your
it
vision
happens?
in that eye?
It's okay, but I'm just like, is this how it happens? Is this how you become that person who's like, oh, she had 70 fucking contacts stacked on top of each other?
Oh my God, that is
God.
You know? Because I'm like, is it there? And I just can't get a grip on it. Like, where is it? Did it roll? I'm Googling, did it roll to the back of my eyeball? Like, is that something that can happen? Like, you know, the answer is no, apparently. But and then I was having this conversation with someone and they were telling me about, I was thinking about you saying like, rip your toenails off and throw them to the side of the room, that this person was dating this girl who took out her contacts every night in bed and threw them behind the headboard.
What? Stop it.
So there was just like a dry contact graveyard behind her bed.
No.
Can you imagine?
Get just out of here.
Yeeted them.
My God.
No.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What?
No. People's weird habits when they look, because that is the thing. When you're dating somebody, you can be on your best behavior and everything. And even when you first move in together, you can kind of like keep your shit together for a while.
No, the true colors come out.
True colors come out.
Yeah.
People do weird things. People are strange. My new weird thing is that it's kind of warm in our house right now. We're going to get like central AC next year, but for right now we just have window units. Yeah. And I just walk around the house naked, but with my flip-flops on.
Oh, so I've done that with my slippers.
Yeah. I just literally just walk around just freeballing it with my green Puma flip-flops.
I did yoga naked the other day.
Yeah.
Like I was just you know what? I'm here by myself. What does it matter?
I'm not. I have somebody that I would like to still like have a spark of interest in me at some point.
Well, I mean, is Eric really going to complain
about you being naked? Maybe it's the flip flops though.
I know.
True, that might take away a little bit. It's not like you're walking around naked in stilettos. It's
It's just like flip flop because I don't like being barefoot.
Amazing.
That's how I feel. But I'm like, maybe I never even thought about it like that. But I'm like, maybe the allure of being nude is diminished somewhat by my smiley face flippers that I am also wearing.
Oh my God.
I really want my titties out right now because it's warm.
Yeah.
But gotta keep the feetsies protected. You know?
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't want to get my feet
I
dirty.
agree with that. Are there sexy slippers out there? Do those exist? Like, not I don't want the Kitten Hill ones. I just want like because I don't really want to
fuzzy fronts, the little fuzzy
something that will look good while I'm just like
but I do
walking
want to be comfy,
around,
so
swinging tits.
A sexy flat slipper. If you have a recommendation.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We're gonna message them and be like, try these and then send me a picture.
Oh, dude, I have thought about it a little too much. There's
feet pics?
Yeah, there's enough TikTokers that are like, here's how you do it. Here's how you set up your account on this site. And I'm like,
you know what? I actually think I have like pretty feet, but I think that's actually a handicap because it's like,
I think it's got to be me,
feet.
the one with the weird hammer toe.
They want unique feet. They don't want like,
I've seen those before.
Yeah. Ugh.
Mine, I really do think my feet, when I look at them, I really do think I look like I have like a monkey. They look like monkey feet.
Like you have long toes?
They do. My feet like are
clasped.
weird.
Yeah. grip onto things.
I could make some money.
She climbs trees with them.
Peel a banana.
Wow.
If you could peel a banana with your feet, you could make money at that. I guarantee it.
I'm going to practice. I think I should try.
Yeah. I mean, was it last week we had the date where the girl was eating with her feet?
Oh, yeah. She was contortionist.
Yeah. I think if you can peel a banana with your feet,
you don't have to show anything. You don't have to show anything else, do you? Just your feet?
No.
On the feet sites?
Which is the most appealing thing.
Exactly.
Like,
I think that is exactly, if you can show peeling a banana, how sexual. Somebody is going to come all over themselves.
Oh my God, Cassie.
Yeah, people also do like they sign like dude's name. Like I saw some chick like writing out Gary with her feet or whatever.
Amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, I would totally do this if I was this talented, but I don't want to think about someone jerking off to me peeling a banana with my feet. Like I know it's happening, but I don't want to talk about it.
We need to talk about compartmentalization.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm gonna do this. You're gonna give me money, and that's where it stops for me.
Where it stops for me.
Yeah.
And my
else
thought
happens.
process.
Whatever you do is you.
Yeah.
Oh my
I don't want to think about it too hard.
You're the one that's got to meet God someday. Okay.
That's right.
So
all I'm doing
is peeling this goddamn banana.
Right.
I didn't do anything wrong. I was only peeling a banana with my feet.
Yeah. What
I was
you do
only
next
caressing
is
this
Jesus.
cucumber.
That's it.
I was peeling the zucchini with my feet. It's fine.
It's
Jesus.
fine. I have nothing to worry about at the pearly gates because it's perfectly natural what I'm doing.
My feet are vegetarian. I don't know what to tell you.
We could get on Wikipedia and figure out who are the highest ranked and fuck Mary kill them.
Yes. Yes.
Wiki
Best
feet.
feet.
Sorry, Wikipedia.
Wiki feet.
Wiki feet.
I mean,
I'm not doing
curious.
that to my algorithm.
Oh, okay, you're right. That's fine.
It's already
That's
messed up. It's listening to our
the
conversation.
next time
right
you
now.
get on Pornhub, it's right at the top of the recommended.
No,
stuff.
No, I can't be doing that.
Yeah.
I did see an interview with Jamila Jamil where she was saying that what she does is at the end of every day, she just holds her phone up and she's like, happy, puppies, laughing.
Oh, so that
Sunset.
her
God,
algorithm.
hilarious.
Yeah, so that her algorithm is all just puppies and stuff like that.
I have been concerned like not recently, but certainly I've been advertised things where I'm like, what did I say or do that put this on my algorithm?
There is no fucking way I've ever said the word Halara pants.
I kind of want them. I feel like I've been advertised them so many times that I'm like, well, maybe there's something to this. Because same. Where did that company come from?
And they're not cute. The latest thing is that high slit. I don't even know, but I see it like 1,000 times a day. I'm like, you're never going to win me over, ever.
Okay, I googled it.
Okay. Oh,
God damn it! I'm so mad that I did this.
Oh no.
I just googled sexiest feet in Hollywood.
Oh my
and the
God.
top 3 names.
Okay.
I did it on my private, so hopefully thoughts and prayers.
Incognito.
Yeah. We got Emma Watson, Ariana Grande, and Miranda Cosgrove.
I feel weird about
Those
that.
are the top 3.
Who's voting on this? Whose opinion
hate
is
it.
this? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't love this. It's
I'm
like
not
by
diving
Quentin
deeper.
Tarantino.
What about men?
.com.
Can you add men to that and see what comes up?
Men's feet are gross.
Sexiest male feet.
Dude, like hobbit
let's
ass
see.
mother no
Okay, we
arch
got-
having.
Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
Wentworth Miller, who I have no clue, and then Benjamin Bratt. Those are the top 3.
Benjamin Bratt.
What is that?
You know what?
Listen,
I actually buy that.
I didn't come up with this.
Yes.
This is on HuffPost.
I
just so you know.
Ariana Huffington's just
actually-
scrolling through pictures.
Benjamin Bratt has sexy feet vibes. I don't know
Okay.
what it is about him.
Matthew McConaughey does
wait,
not.
Now that I went on this, now that I clicked on it, it
Okay.
says Jude Law #1, Eric Bana, and Matthew McConaughey.
These, well, with the exception of Matthew McConaughey, everyone else, Benjamin Bratt, Eric Bana, they all sound like men who aren't
Eric
afraid to
Bana
get pedicures.
Yeah, Jude Law seems like a
Yes.
fastidious,
He would get a
hygienic motherfucker.
Right. So his feet
I-
probably are.
Eric Bana.
Eric Bana
Eric
was.
Bana?
He had a big moment in the early
Was
2000s.
he like the Hulk or something?
He was.
No, was he?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the Hulk
Before.
after.
Oh yeah,
Edward
you're right.
Norton?
Yeah.
Yes, but before Mark Ruffalo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a good-looking guy.
He is.
Yes. Okay.
And he's, I think, Australian. Yeah.
Yes,
Him.
Australian actor.
I don't know.
Yeah. You want to put him in?
Sure.
Why not?
Here's what he.
We're doing Jude Law, Benjamin Bratt.
Can we do Benjamin Bratt and then Eric Bana?
Yep.
Yeah, because we've done Matthew McConaughey plenty, I think.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
So we have Eric Bana, we have Benjamin Bratt, and Jude Law. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
We're basing it just off their
I think
feet.
Jude Law is notoriously what's that? Based on their feet.
Just
That's
solely
it.
on feet.
Solely
No,
on
no,
feet.
no.
Ooh, solely on feet.
Oh, wow.
Get
Wah,
it.
wah.
Doo-doo.
Wow.
I really like Benjamin Bratt. He's always been like a crush of mine
Yeah.
ever since I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like we should
Oh,
share
I gotta feel
foot
like I'm up
scrubs. You know what I mean? With Benjamin Bratt. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
nice little like sugar scrub.
Yeah, he does
need
seem
to
like
know
a guy
signs.
who actually, I think all 3 of these men would give you a foot rub
Oh, yeah.
at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Like they seem like
Yeah.
that type.
Didn't Jude Law like cheat on his wife? Or
He
something?
did. Sienna Miller with his nanny, which
That's
I don't
right.
love. I
Don't
mean, people
love that.
grow and change, and that was a long time ago. But
Okay. His birthday, do we want to know?
Jude
Yeah.
Law? Yeah.
December 29th.
Ooh.
Okay.
Capricorn.
December cap.
December cap.
December cap, man. That's a thing.
It's a lot.
Okay, let's see. We got, what's Benjamin Bratt? He is December 16th.
Oh, so he's a
Sag.
Sag. Ooh.
Yes. And then Eric Bana.
Uh-huh. Yes, like Taurus.
He is Australian, by the way.
Yeah.
You think he's a Taurus?
I think so.
August 9th.
A Leo.
Leo.
Leo?
His birthday's coming up. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
So we got Sag, Leo, and
Capricorn.
Wow.
You know
Okay.
what?
That doesn't make
know,
it easier.
I know what I'm going to do, I think.
Okay.
And
There's no huge red flags here for me because I have 2 fire signs. No red flags.
I got to tread a little cautiously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to fuck Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah.
I feel like that Sagittarius energy is going to be real good for that. And also he's hot and he's still hot.
So hot.
And he's still hot. So I like that for me. I think
He's
that's
going to be doing things that you're like, oh, wow, like they invented that position before I was born. You know what I
mean? Yes.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Also, he seems like he has a lot of energy, like good energy, like not manic energy, but just like.
He's got a positivity about him.
He's going to know the exact right time to change positions. Yeah. You know, like he's going to have good timing like that. I feel like that it's going to be a good experience. This might be risky, but I grew up with a lot of Leos in my life.
Okay. You did. You do. You have a strong Leo.
Yeah. And, you know, while I can admit, yes, there are specific challenges that go along with that. However, I'm going on vibes. And I get when it comes down between Jude Law and Eric Bana, I think for me, I'm going to go Eric Bana for marriage.
Jude Law, there's something about him that makes me feel he would be judgmental.
Yes,
those vibes?
Which would be fun for.
He's been famous
He's going to be your friend that you sit in the corner booth with, and you like judge everybody, which can be really fun.
Yes.
Jude Law also, I think, is too self-aware of how good looking he is, or at least he was when he was younger, which can present its own challenges. He does seem to have mellowed out as he's gotten older, but he was very pretty when he was younger in a way that I'm like, he knew he was too good looking,
right?
You know?
Right.
Whereas Eric
he's giving
Bana,
cusp of Sagittarius. For sure.
Eric Bana to me is like, he's good looking in kind of a rugged way, but he doesn't seem like he takes himself too seriously. We can live in Australia. That'll be fun.
Yes. Yes. Looking for dual citizenship.
Yeah. Has enough. 100%. And Eric Bana, I feel like still has like enough relevancy to like, if he wanted to go do something, he could, but he's also very chill with just being like taking the money that he made in the early 2000s and kicking it.
Yeah.
And I like that too.
I'm a fan of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I am going to marry Benjamin Bratt.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Sag. Oof. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with it.
I like
Benjamin
his
Bratt.
energy. That's the thing. Is we use the zodiacs as a reference point, right?
Yeah.
But in truth, everybody has things that defy the characteristics of their sign.
Yeah.
And like
exactly.
He gives me really good positive Sag energy.
Yes. Yeah. I think I'm gonna fuck Jude Law because I like making poor decisions. And
that's okay. I support this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Here's the thing. Most people who think that they're too good looking don't try, but he's a Capricorn.
Fair.
Yeah.
So I feel
kind of
like
have to be the best.
He's got to be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
He's
I'm the best.
Also not as good looking as he used to be. So
it's true.
He's got to try a little bit harder.
Yeah.
A little bit harder. That's right. I like this. Okay. And then I'm going to friend Eric Bana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody needs a good Australian friend.
Yeah. I love that.
I am going to marry Eric Bana. I think a Leo would be good at drawing me out and pushing me socially. And I think he's chill about it and would be fun and easygoing in a way that wouldn't be like annoying to me.
Yeah.
I think it would be good. I think it would be.
He has just the right amount of Leo energy. I feel like, you know, like I feel like he's not going to be super pushy or obnoxious.
Yeah.
But he is going to try and like get you to do some fun stuff.
But yeah, it'll expand my horizons and everything like that. I'm gonna marry him. And then for fucking, I'm gonna go Jude Law just because he just seems meaner than Benjamin Bratt. And
you're like, I want to be disrespected.
Exactly. And
he's definitely going to be meaner than Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. He's going to be snarkier.
Exactly.
Snarkier, for sure.
I need a little bit of that attitude. So,
although, man, Jude Law in The Holiday, wow.
Yeah.
Hot.
So hot.
Makes a scarf look pretty good. You know?
Makes you want to live in cold weather just so you can
A little bit. Yeah. I'm like, would I consider? Yeah. No.
No.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, you guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with stories?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Cool.
And we're back. Okay, I have the Tainted Love this week, so I will kick us off with stories. This one's kind of a short one, but I think we'll have some things to discuss here.
Great.
The creepiest date I ever went on was a blind date and not the fault of my date in question. In fact, he was nice, polite, hygienic, attractive, maybe a little nervous. Nothing wrong with him, except he was told by his friends that I was a man and I am a woman.
Oh.
My mutual friend, talk about your friends making bad choices for you.
Like,
my mutual friend thought we were perfect for one another, you know, despite the fact that he's gay and would never be attracted to me in a romantic or sexual way.
What? Oh my.
What? I only convinced him that I wasn't in on it after I showed him texts from my mutual friend to prove otherwise. So the friend was like, I want to hook you up with somebody. Of course, he's going to assume that you're hooking him up with a man. And then told the other, gay. Just told them both that they were going to hook them up with someone and didn't explain anything about the situation. So this poor guy thinks that he's being...
I have so many issues with that.
So disrespectful.
Like that is disrespectful because
Yes.
you're putting two people in a very uncomfortable situation, and now you have to wonder, like, is my friend homophobic? Are they trying to, you know what I mean?
Yes. After the date, because he didn't want to leave despite being upset, and rightly so, I called up my friend and asked her why she did it. And she only said something along the lines of, wait for it, he can't really be gay if he's never had a girlfriend.
Well, there you go. There's the homophobia.
Can you imagine? That is so disrespectful.
Wow.
You would never say that to a straight person. Like, that's right. No one would ever say that to a how do you know?
How do you know you're not gay? Because you've never, you know what I mean? Like you don't. That's so, that's so ick.
And she kept reiterating how perfect a couple we would be, asking what went wrong and offering to make another date. What could possibly have gone wrong?
What could possibly have gone wrong?
That's one of those people that thinks that being gay is a choice.
100%. Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, you haven't met the right girl yet.
Right.
That's so gross.
And if you think that these two people are compatible, then maybe they'll be great friends. Why would you try and force a romantic relationship on them?
See, this is what happens. We dump that friend and we become friends.
That's exactly right.
Ew.
Yes. Because, you've both been disrespected. Both of you have been disrespected by this person.
Absolutely, truly.
Needless to say, I think she lost 2 friends that day. I had no idea she believed this sort of thing before this date, so it really came off as a surprise.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah. Guys,
that's so woof.
That's
horrible.
So awkward when someone that you're, like friends with, and you just find out that
they
one
casually drop something and you're like, pardon me?
Ooh, uh-oh.
Oh, no.
That's not how I feel.
That's weird.
Yeah. Okay. This one's kind of a wild ride. I had been seeing a woman for a couple of weeks who had a domineering boss. I don't remember his name now, but let's call him John. She said she was fairly recently out of a long-term relationship with a married guy named Michael. Let's put a pin in that. Like,
first of all,
do you date somebody that's like, oh, my last relationship I was carrying on with someone that was married?
I would need a lot of context.
Yeah.
To be,
if it was like,
for that to be remotely okay.
Yeah. She obviously wasn't completely over him, so we were a bit on again, off again. One day I was at her place helping her kids install some software when her boss, John, came by for something and was a bit of an asshole to me. From talking to her...
Is John the married guy?
Listen, John.
Is John her ex?
From talking to her, I already knew he could be an arrogant prick, so I didn't really read too much into it. So a couple of weeks after that, we went to see a movie and we were in the back row. Just after the lights went down, she looks over and says, "Damn it, John is here."
Excuse me?
I didn't think too much about it. Who cares if her boss is here?
I kind of do. I'm like, that is weird. Of all the places you could be.
At this movie theater and this specific movie, that would be weird.
Yeah.
Her boss?
I don't like that.
So while I'm watching the start of the movie, he spots her and comes up the stairs to the back row and sits on the other side of her from me.
We are on a date. You freak.
My dude.
And then about 20 seconds later, he reaches around her and sucker punches me in the face.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
This has gotta be a joke. What are you saying?
No way.
I stand up to defend myself, but don't throw a punch, and a bunch of guys around us grab both of us to separate us as if I was part instigator too. After a lot of hot words, he lets people usher us both out into the hall. But as I step into the hallway, he turns back and throws another punch, breaking my brand new prescription glasses.
Confused.
The theater called the cops, and after hearing from a couple of witnesses, they cuffed John, and everybody went into the parking lot with her mumbling the whole way out about how she was so sorry. In the parking lot, I'm trying to get her to explain what the fuck that was about
100%.
and why her asshole boss just attacked me in the movie theater.
Because listen, if that's not her ex, that is it's insane behavior regardless, but if that is just your boss and he's acting that weird and possessive over you, that's
9-1 fucking
very, very scary.
Yeah. In case you haven't figured it out,
right?
She turns to me and says, "I'm so sorry, John is Michael."
Oh my God. You gotta listen. There are levels of baggage that I can't take on. And like you having your last relationship having been a long-term relationship with a married man who is also your boss. Is levels of baggage that I'm not prepared to deal with.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
That you're still working for? You're still working for?
No.
No.
She had been having an affair with him for years under the nose of his wife, who also worked there in the family business every day.
Gotta be kidding me. Although, do you know the way my ears would perk up if I overheard this at a restaurant? Oh my God. The drama.
The popcorn. Oh my God. Tell me everything.
Wow.
When he wouldn't leave his wife, she told him she was going to start looking for someone else and started seeing me. She said she always thought he looked more like a Michael than a John, so that's the name she told me she was seeing. Oh shit, I just lost it. What happened to it? I hate it. She was still working in his shop. So they saw each other every day, and he obviously wasn't prepared to give her up. Apparently, he had gone to her house looking for her, and her kids told him we were at the movie, so he came specifically looking to confront me. Needless to say, that was our last date, and I never found out if they stayed together with or without his wife.
Please no.
She did call me a few months later to ask me to write a letter to the court asking them to be lenient with John.
100% no.
I swear to God.
No, under no circumstances. Also, how is he, if his wife didn't know before, she's got to know now.
Yeah.
What is he going to court for?
Arrested for beating up some random guy in a movie
for no
theater?
Reason that your coworker / his employee happened to be there.
He told his wife that he happened to bump into them and said that this guy was treating her bad, and so he had to step in. This is I hear this the
lies,
insanity,
the lies. Favorite Real Housewives of Atlanta moment.
Yes. Oh, that's too much, man.
It's too much. I'm tired. I can't deal with that level of drama.
No.
Well, I have some drama.
Oh boy.
I'm actually going to read you the TLDR because it's really like, here's the top line, and then she goes into more detail on each of the points.
Okay.
He punched his brother's girlfriend, talked to me about his sex life, asked if I'm horny because I clearly have daddy issues, left me alone for 45 minutes in a store, pouted in silence when we didn't go to the movies, and jerked it and moaned his best friend's name after. I'm just going to list these because holy shit, this was atrocious.
What with the punching? There's so much punching happening.
A lot of punching. All right. He told me a story of when his little brother's girlfriend was talking about Taekwondo. Okay. And he went off about how it's not a real martial art because it's a defensive style. She politely disagreed, his own words, and he challenged his brother to a fight. He Spartan kicked his brother into the wall, and then when she took a turn,
boys are embarrassing. They really are.
Her in the nose and broke it.
Oh my!
He didn't see anything wrong with this interaction.
You broke your sister's nose.
Sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law.
These are adults.
His brother's girlfriend. Wait for it.
Somehow that's worse.
Next. In graphic detail, he said it was his little brother. So I'm assuming this might have been like a while ago. I don't know.
Okay.
In graphic detail, he told me about losing his V card.
Okay.
Then next point, told me a weird story about a spicy encounter he had. He told the girl she looked disgusting down there and shoved her off of him.
Why would you tell this to another woman?
Yeah.
Why would you ever say this to another woman?
All of this
in a conversation.
This doesn't make you look good. None of this makes you look good.
None of this.
None of this makes me want to fuck you.
Violent.
No.
Disgustingly mean to somebody that is naked in front of you.
Yeah, in a very vulnerable position. Yeah, that doesn't make me comfortable to get naked in front of you at all.
Oh, wait for it. This will make it worse.
Jesus.
She somehow still wanted to do something, so he jerked it onto her chest and he moaned his best friend's name. Context for this.
Why is he telling her this?
Or his best friend, 30, is a Christian guy who told him he didn't want to hear about his sex life. And the guy I went on a date with told him next time he was with a girl, he was going to moan his friend's name just to make him uncomfortable.
But he's not there.
The man isn't there. Thank you.
My
What
God.
the fuck?
This person also is the worst type of person. Like I really dislike people who strive to make other people unhappy or uncomfortable.
Right.
Just what is wrong with you, dude?
Bring pain to someone else. Like that makes you feel good. So I can't handle people like that.
Sadistic.
Yeah.
It is. So this has all happened. And she says, we were going to go see a movie. And I explained I would actually be more comfortable walking around the little shopping center we were at. He then gave me the silent treatment for 30 minutes, left me in a store to take a 45-minute shit in a bar across the street.
I'm going
and then came
home.
Back and asked if I was still quote, uncomfortable with him.
Yeah. And I've been hanging out with you for like an hour and a half now. And I would like to go home. More than that. I would like to go home.
I would have left.
We had an age difference. I'm 24 and he's 30. 30 years old. 30 years old. He made multiple gross comments about the age gap and how it would be cooler if it was 7 years ago. Then asked if my dad issues made me a slut.
Wait. Pause.
Crimes are being committed.
Disgusting.
Thought crimes.
Gross.
Wee.
Wow.
Yeah. 9-1-1.
Seriously.
He then commented on my brand new tattoo saying it was done poorly. I disagreed. Then he showed me his shaky lined fading finger tats and said these were real tats. Then told me how he fantasized about has tattoo artists frequently.
Oh my God.
I ended up literally walking into traffic to get away from this guy.
What a nightmare.
You know, I have days where I really lean into my feminine energy and I'm like, I love being a woman. We're so wonderful.
And then I tell you a story just
and then
like
I'm
this.
just like, I can't believe we have to exist in this world.
I know.
Period.
Yeah. There's so much there
to unpack. I know.
To unpack in that.
Normalize leaving a date.
Yeah.
Normalize leaving a date when it's going that badly and this person is actually a vile human being. Like, it's not just that the date was going poorly. It's like this person is a shitty person.
Yeah.
And he doesn't deserve, you got one wild and precious life, honey. And this person does not deserve a couple hours of it.
No.
All right.
No.
Like, just
that 45 minutes I'm in the store. Bye.
Yeah.
Actually,
you're taking a shit
the 30-minute quiet.
Oh, no.
The 30-minute quiet. No. I'm out.
Silent treatment. He's 30 years old.
30.
Use your big boy words.
Also, I can't imagine where the conversation was going, where he thought like, oh, I'm going to tell her about denigrating another woman and
disgusting.
Like,
did he think she would like that?
Yeah. I'm just like, what was the conversation? I know that they were talking about something probably innocuous, and he's just like,
I'm sure,
got it itching to tell this uncomfortable story.
So
but it is
they were talking about having friends
trait, I think, of some people that really do like to make others uncomfortable.
And then they wonder why
tell
they're
me a little bit about your friends. Oh, I have this one friend. He's a Christian. So he told me he doesn't like me talking about sex. So I said I'm going to do this. And then I did. Oh my God.
Listen,
just hear it.
I, as somebody who was formerly very religious, like, you don't have to agree with somebody's religious beliefs to respect. If they're telling you this makes me uncomfortable, don't talk about it with them. You have other friends that you can go talk about sex with. Like this, that's so disrespectful to your friend as well, on top of like everything else.
Yeah.
It's, disrespectful to everybody in that scenario.
Yes.
That whole situation. Disgusting.
Oh my goodness.
Piece of shit.
Wow.
It's some rough out there in these streets.
People don't know how to act. People don't know how to act.
Yeah. Be safe out there. You guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with the Tainted Love?
Yes.
Yeah. And we're back. Keegan, tell us your Tainted Love.
Okay. I am going to come right out at the top and give a content warning. This story is really brutal. Like it's pretty rough. So I'm going to go ahead and give a content warning for domestic violence and sexual violence. If you can't handle that at this moment, life is hard out there. I get it. Maybe you skip this one. All right. In March of 2011, police were called to the location of a house fire in a rural community in Witt, Texas. And when they arrived, they found that the home of 62-year-old local resident Lois Pearson was burned to the ground. Lois was nowhere to be found, and police, fearing that she may have burned to death in the fire, called in cadaver dogs to try and locate her body. And when they were unable to do so, they determined that Lois was a missing person. So Lois had spent her entire life, so this is a small community in Texas, she'd spent her entire life in this small community. From birth, she'd lived in that house.
Oh, wow.
So she lived there. She was in her 60s now. Her mom had died, I think, maybe 20 years before or something like that. But she'd stayed in that house. She kept really almost entirely to herself. She chose to spend the majority of her time at home alone with her 3 cats, leaving only to attend church, her job as a school teacher, and her once-a-month trip to the local grocery store. Outside of these activities, she really didn't interact much with the local community, despite having spent her entire life there. But she didn't seem to mind. Her world was small and somewhat isolated, and she was okay with that. Several days after the fire, police receive a call from Lois's local bank letting them know that someone had just arrived to cash a $500 check from Lois. And knowing that she was missing and seeing that this kind of spending behavior was unusual for her.
Non-typical,
Right. She had a very specific kind of routine, right? So this would be unusual regardless.
This is one of the benefits from like a small town living. There's not many, but this is one of them. People like,
depending on what you want.
Lois, don't be spending $500
yeah,
like
we know
that.
this.
So,
and they knew she was missing.
Yeah.
They're like, we know she's missing. She doesn't usually spend this way. So they boop, 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 called the authorities right away. So the check had been made out to a Jeffrey Allan Maxwell. And when police looked into his background, alarm bells were ringing. So Jeffrey had previously been arrested for the incredibly violent attempted murder of his ex-wife, Martha Martinez. Though he was not convicted in that case, we'll talk about that more later, Martha would later go missing under suspicious circumstances. He had also been accused of rape and sexual assault of 2 of his stepdaughters from another marriage, not Martha, but another marriage, though he would never be prosecuted in those offenses either.
Ugh,
what the fuck?
So the rape allegation, and we'll talk about this guy because I can't believe I hadn't heard about him really. But So he'd been married to a woman named Rita before he married Martha. And in that marriage, the night before he got married to Rita, Rita's best friend came forward with allegations that he had raped her.
Ooh.
The night before his wedding.
Oh.
Rita
they still got married?
They still got married. Yes.
Nope.
Yes. And then
Couldn't be me.
because I, don't really have this written into the story later. So after his relationship with Martha, him and Rita got remarried, and she had brought in daughters in that period of time where they weren't together. She'd had daughters in another relationship, and 2 of those daughters on separate occasions accused him of assaulting them as well.
Wow.
And the first occasion, they just called in, like the school just called in the parents, and then the parents just yanked the kids out of school, moved to a different area. And then one of the other daughters went and said, I've also been sexually assaulted, to the teacher there. And that teacher called the cops, didn't call the parents, called the cops. And so that did get them, finally Rita left him and took the kids out of that situation. But horrible.
Jesus.
But again, wasn't prosecuted for those offenses. But because he has this whole history, he now has signed this check or cashed this check from this woman who was missing, whose house burned down. They're like, we got to go check this guy out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they immediately drive the 2.5 hours from Witt to Maxwell's home in Corsicana to question him about the disappearance of Lois Pearson. When they arrive at the home, it takes a long time for Jeffrey to come to the door. And when he arrives, they ask him if he knew Lois. He tells officers that he was Lois's neighbor 6 years ago in Witt, when he lived in Witt, but hasn't seen or heard from her since.
That's weird. How'd you get a check from her then?
Right?
As police continue questioning Jeffrey, they begin to hear noises coming from inside the house. And not long after, a woman bursts through the door and into the sheriff's arms, yelling, I'm here, I'm here.
Oh my God.
My God.
The woman was so emaciated and bruised that police didn't immediately recognize her as Lois Pearson.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. They placed Jeffrey under arrest right away and questioned both he and Lois about what had happened. So Lois detailed a terrifying story for police. She said that it all started about a decade earlier when Jeffrey moved into the property adjacent to hers. Lois, who often spent time outdoors on long walks, said that she had often seen Jeffrey and was always polite with a smile and a wave in his direction. But it wasn't long before Jeffrey soon started asking Lois out on dates. And Lois, who had never had a romantic relationship in her life, she kept to herself. She'd never had a boyfriend. Nor did she particularly want one, always declined his advances. And it went on like this for years, with Jeffrey growing increasingly resentful of being told no, until one day he drove up to Lois's home and attempted to kiss her. And according to Lois, she pushed him off of her and told him that he was not allowed on her property again and to stay away from her. And before getting in his truck to leave, Jeffrey informed Lois that she would regret rejecting him and would pay for what she had done. So not long after this, though, Jeffrey moved and Lois went on with her life. 6 years passed. Wow. So Lois, no doubt, had pretty much forgotten about this guy. I mean, it was 6 years. But then suddenly, 6 years later, he appeared on her doorstep or in her yard, in her front yard. And Lois was surprised, but so much time had passed that she wasn't particularly scared. She smiled at him, went to go greet him in her driveway. But before she did note, she told police that something didn't look right. She's like, his eyes looked weird. But before she could do anything, he advanced on her with pepper spray and sprayed her in the eyes, temporarily blinding her. Then he dragged her into her house, where he placed prison shackles on her ankles. So the ones that have the chain between them.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And began beating her with a rolling pin from her kitchen. And she said to police that in that moment, it's so strange the way that our brains work, that like in that horrifying, terrible moment, she said to police that one of the things that was most upsetting to her was that the rolling pin was her mother's. Oh. And he was beating her with her mother's rolling pin.
Also, it's so tragic that somebody that just like you said, just wanted their day to day. And there's lots of ways that people live, like especially like if you're ace or something like that, and you want your little corner of peace. I'm just like, so I think this is affecting me a little bit because I'm like, I can definitely understand just, being an introvert and just, having
wanting to have your peace. Yeah.
Yeah. Just your little corner of peace. Like she didn't seem like she did shit to anybody. Not that anyone,
deserves anything. No,
absolutely not. But
she kept to herself. The things that were important to her were her cats and going to church every week. And like, those are the things that mattered to her in her life, So she fought back, and when he demanded that she tell him where he could find duct tape in her home, she refused to tell him. So instead, he found a piece of electrical cord and bound her hands before going to his truck that was parked outside. Lois' wrists were small enough that she managed to wiggle her hands free and make her way to her feet. She managed to run out the door in the opposite direction of Jeffrey's truck without being seen by him, but with her ankles still shackled, she couldn't move very quickly. So when he went back into the home and noticed she was gone, he spotted her running, got into his truck, and tracked her down. So he hit her over the head and threw her into the back of his covered truck bed, and then drove the 2.5 hours to his home in Corsicana.
Terrifying.
So right here, I'm just going to reiterate that things are about to get bad. And I'm not even going to go into all the details. You can find the details online. I don't think it's necessary to go into extreme detail about what he did to her. But disoriented from the ride, Lois is dragged from the truck into Jeffrey's garage, where he proceeds to strip her naked and tie her body to a deer skinning device that he had set up in his garage by her wrists.
This is a horror film.
It's horrifying. Lois, and this is also another thing that just like struck me as so sad, because she recounted that she had never been fully naked in front of anyone in her life either. Like she'd never been fully naked in front of her doctors even. So this was her first time being fully naked, and she started to cry from the humiliation and also the pain. I mean, she's hanging directly from her wrists. And she said that when she started to cry, Jeffrey started to laugh.
Ugh.
So again, I'm not going to go into detail about the sexual torture that she suffered, but just suffice to say that she was sexually violated and beaten repeatedly in just about every way that you can think of. When he finally took Lois down from the device, he put her in his bathroom and told her to shower. Looking at herself in the mirror, Lois noticed that she was covered in cuts and bruises, and her shoulder was dislocated from hanging from her wrists for hours.
Oh, fuck.
After showering, Jeffrey told Lois to put on some of his clothes, and then he handcuffed her to his bed and fell asleep next to her. And heartbreakingly, Lois would later describe thinking that at 62 years old, this was the first night she'd spent in bed with a man.
Gross. Oh.
The next day, he told her that he needed to run some errands, including getting more padlocks. Imagine saying that. Like, it's just the level of cruelty all the way around is so awful. And he gave her the option of being strung back up on the deer skinning device while he's away, or being locked in a coffin-like box.
Neither, thank you.
She chose the box, which I think I would too, because the amount of pain that you would be in. But so he put her in a box and put like a crate on top of the box for the hours that he was gone. A few hours later, she was let out of the box, and that evening she described Jeffrey's mood as gleeful when he asked her to come take a seat in front of the TV. He wanted to show her something. On the news, they were talking about a house fire that had occurred, burning the house to the ground.
The house she
grew
up in, grown up in.
All of her family heirlooms, all of her family pictures, and content warning, her 3 cats were all inside. So I mean, again, that's just the level of cruelty to not only have gone and burned her house down because maybe he thought he was covering up evidence or something, but to show it to her. Like, you are really actively trying to break this person.
Oh my God.
Days went by and he continued to sexually, physically, and psychologically torture Lois. During this time, she barely ate and barely slept. He kept a metal gag in her mouth in the times when he wasn't at home, so the gag broke several of her teeth.
Jesus Christ.
Over a week into her ordeal, Jeffrey told Lois that he needed to buy groceries and that he was going to use the checkbook he'd stolen from her home when he entered it to burn her house down to buy the groceries. So he forced her to make the check out to him, but thinking he was smart, he asked her to write it out to predate the check for February before she went missing. So that he would be like, no, she wrote me that check before anything happened. Mm-hmm. This obviously didn't work, though, and police traced the check to his home. When they first knocked on the door, Jeffrey was watching TV, and Lois was seated at his feet reading a Bible that she'd asked him to lend her. Before answering the door, he threatened her if she made any noise. Fearful and knowing that he always kept a gun on him, she obliged at first, but when she heard that the officers were there for her and looked out the window and saw the sheriff's vehicle in the front yard, she knew that this was her only shot, and she made a really brave decision to run for her life. She was taken to the hospital where she was determined to be severely malnourished and dehydrated. Her teeth were broken. Her shoulder had been dislocated for almost the entirety of her 13-day confinement.
Jesus.
And she suffered permanent nerve and ligament damage. Jeffrey was interviewed, and knowing that there was no use in lying, he confessed to everything, telling police that he had a fantasy of having a sex slave that he could control.
Disgusting.
Mm-hmm. When police searched the home, they found the weapons and sex toys that he used to assault Lois, as well as books on bondage and S&M and violent porn depicting sexual slavery.
Jesus.
Lois is still trying to rebuild her life, but she said that the ordeal actually made her closer with her community, who rallied around her after the attack. Her church raised $17,000 to buy a new trailer to put on her property. She began singing and playing piano in her church choir and now has friends who check in on her regularly.
Oh, I am so PMSy. I'm getting like teary.
Oh my God.
I'm like really.
Yeah.
Oh.
A year after the arrest, Jeffrey was sentenced to life in prison for the kidnap and torture of Lois and is not eligible for parole until he's 119 years old. And it should be said that part of what got him that conviction was the friend who had alleged that he had raped her the day before his first wedding and Rita's 2 children. They all testified.
Wow.
Good.
So they might not have actually gotten justice for themselves, but they were able to help in this case. Mm-hmm. His arrest and conviction for the attack on Lois shed light on the disappearance of Jeffrey's second wife, Martha Martinez. So Martha and Jeffrey met in the 1980s through a male dating service. Martha, who lived in Mexico with her family, was charmed by Jeffrey and soon fell in love with him. They spoke for months, mostly via letters, before Jeffrey made the trip down to Mexico to meet Martha in person. And it was on this trip, the first one they spent physically together, that Jeffrey proposed. Though Martha felt like she loved Jeffrey, she thought it was very fast. Yeah. And her family, who all said they got a weird vibe from Jeffrey, discouraged Martha from accepting the proposal. But Martha, who was in love and by her family's account suffered from low self-worth, did accept. She relocated to Texas to be with Jeffrey, and the two were married. Almost immediately, Jeffrey started pushing his sexual desires onto Martha. He was into bondage and BDSM, and I think it goes without saying, every time we do a story like this,
right,
those are completely valid sexual preferences to have within a safe environment with a willing partner, with all of the appropriate safety guidelines put into place. That's not the case here, obviously.
No.
She was not interested in this. She resisted it at first, but he wore her down. So eventually she, quote unquote, consented But it's like, is it really consent? If it's not enthusiastic consent with somebody who really wants to do this with you, it's not really consent, right?
Yep.
No.
So their sexual encounters...
Acquiesce is not the same as consent.
Right.
That's right.
Right. Their sexual encounters became increasingly violent, and Martha would often be covered in cuts and bruises. Her family noticed these when she would go down to visit and tried to encourage her to leave Jeffrey, but she wouldn't. Eventually, the couple had a son, but that did not stop the violence. In fact, as it almost always does, the violence increased, with Jeffrey assaulting and beating Martha outside of the bedroom as well as during sex. And during all of this, he was also engaged in really weird behavior. Like on 2 separate occasions, like Martha took him to a family wedding, and at the wedding, he went up to the bride and said, "We're family now, I can do this," and basically shoved his tongue down the bride's throat, sexually assaulted the bride.
What
at
are you
the
talking
wedding.
about?
And then he did it again.
Family now?
He did it again at another of her family's weddings. Can you imagine if you're Martha's family members?
No.
Oh, yeah. I would. Oh.
Jeffrey's not allowed to come. Like, if you won't leave him,
no,
we can't force you to leave him, but he's not invited to any more family weddings. Sorry.
Absolutely
he's not allowed
not even a little
around our family anymore. One day in 1987, after a particularly bad fight, Martha fell asleep on the couch. When she woke up, her hands were tied above her head and her feet were bound. She remembered being beaten and sexually assaulted by Jeffrey before being forced to drink a concoction that he had made. It was a combination of alcohol, cough syrup, and sleeping pills. And she didn't remember anything after that. The next thing she remembers is trying to open her eyes as police surrounded her on the side of the road in Ardmore, Oklahoma, where she was found naked, bound, and beaten with her throat almost completely slashed from ear to ear.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Miraculously, she survived the ordeal. When police question Jeffrey, he acts clueless, and though they find violent sexual material in the house, they are unable to find any blood or the weapon that was used to cut Martha's throat. Still, with Martha's testimony, they take Jeffrey in and charge him with the attempted murder of his wife. While in jail awaiting trial, however, he writes love letters to Martha. He manipulates her. Eventually, she refuses to testify for the prosecution. And without her testimony and lacking physical evidence, the grand jury chooses not to indict Jeffrey, and he's set free.
It's so sad, though. You know, her family saying that she has low self-worth.
Yeah,
and
he reinforced that.
And then you're being abused,
right?
Abused in the worst way possible for years.
Yeah.
The fear and the trauma that must set in you. Like, I'm never going to judge what somebody does in a situation.
No,
so unfathomable.
She's not functioning out of her, her nervous system is all messed up. Her mind is not working in a rational way at all. And she was also, and the same way that Lois was a devout Christian, Martha was a devout Catholic. So she also took her vows and staying in her marriage very, very seriously. This did appear to be a wake-up call for Martha, though, who took their son and returned to Mexico. Her family was overjoyed to have her back, and things seemed to be looking up until letters from Jeffrey started arriving. I have to say, if I'm Martha's sister, this is not any shade on the family at all. I'm just saying, if I'm Martha's sister, the way I'm policing that fucking mailbox, we're burning those letters before they ever make it in for her to see them. So he starts writing her letters. In them, he's charming, he's apologizing, he's professing his love for her, he's begging her to return to him with their son. And despite the protests of Martha's family, Jeffrey eventually wore her down and she returned to Texas. 5 years go by, and her family says in those 5 years, she calls them. She never says a bad word about Jeffrey. And there's not much else that's really known about that. But what is known is that by 1992, the abuse had resumed, and Jeffrey had also begun verbally, if not physically, attacking their 10-year-old son as well.
Jesus.
It was around this time that Martha's family received a letter in the mail, presumably from Martha. She says that she's leaving Jeffrey for good and leaving their son with him while she goes away for a while. She doesn't know when she'll be back. And her family is not buying this. First of all,
she wouldn't have left her son.
Right. She also never wrote letters. If she needed to communicate them, she would call. Secondly, the letter was written in English. If she was going to write a letter to her family, she would have written it in Spanish.
In Spanish, right.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, they knew that she would not leave her son. She's not going to leave her son, and she's not going to leave her son with him. So they contacted authorities who took one look at Jeffrey's previous charges and the couple's relationship and were immediately concerned.
Oh, wow. That's a first. I thought that was going to go another way because they were like, okay, like it's Texas and she's, from Mexico. I thought they'd be like, not our business.
But that's how bad the assault was, though. Wow. You read about somebody like that happening.
Yeah.
And, so they searched the house where they found Martha's purse. In it were her keys, credit cards, and passport. But they were not able to find any evidence of a struggle or anything to link Jeffrey, who was still maintaining that he didn't know where his wife had gone, to her disappearance. So the case went cold and Martha was never found. 20 years later, following Jeffrey's arrest for the abduction of Lois Pearson, authorities reopened Martha's missing persons case with Jeffrey obviously as the prime suspect. Though nothing seems to have come from the case being reopened and the family still does not have the answers they deserve, Jeffrey's arrest did serve to reunite Martha's son with his mother's side of the family. They had lost touch over the years, but Martha's brother says that his nephew reached out to him after the arrest saying, "My father's been arrested. I need you to tell me what really happened to my mom." Which opened a dialogue within the family. Jeffrey Allan Maxwell has also been suspected in the disappearance of Amelia Martinez Smith, who disappeared from Weatherford, Texas in 2000, an area not far from where Jeffrey Maxwell was living at the time. Her home was burned to the ground following her disappearance.
Wow.
He was also linked to the disappearance of a 19-year-old woman named Shonda Townsend, though I don't really know the details of the link between Jeffrey and Amelia.
So he's a serial killer.
Maybe. Those cases, the cases of Martha, Amelia, and Shonda all remain unsolved. But that is the story of Jeffrey Allan Maxwell.
Who
terrifying
will die in prison, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even eligible for parole until he's long dead. So hopefully.
Oh, man.
Ugh.
Oh, my. The silver lining, I guess, in this story is, as you said, like the community rallying around, a quiet member of that community who hadn't done anything at all. So hopefully she's finding peace and healing.
Yeah,
now.
She made some quotes about, I think as anybody would be, she's very, very much struggling with this, but she is leaning into her faith and trying to make peace with it in that way and trying to find forgiveness for herself,
Yeah.
Which,
that's what,
I guess, if you can find any warning too in this story, it would be trust your friends and family if they have the ick about somebody.
Yeah.
If you have people in your life that you trust and love, like friends and family, and they have the ick about somebody, you at least consider the possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Check in on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, man. What a fucking insane story.
That one's it was really intense, and I considered not doing it because it's so intense.
It's
an
interesting story, though.
I hope they find answers, though, for the other families that are involved.
Yes, me too.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to see justice for these other people as well. Hopefully, maybe they can connect the dots on that.
I hope so too, but at least with that, for me, there wouldn't be as much wondering because I'd be like, yeah, he did it.
Yeah.
It's so, as a family member, it would be so clear to me, and I would at least take some solace. And it's horrible that because justice was never done in the first place, Lois Pearson and potentially these other women had to go through what they went through.
That's right.
At least now he is behind bars. He will not get out, you know. And if you can't have direct justice for your loved one, at least you have it by proxy.
Yeah. Well, what are you guys watching this week?
Chris and I just started watching on Apple TV Time Bandits. And it's really good.
Oh, right on. I think Eric mentioned he wanted to watch that.
We watched the first 2 episodes and it was really good. It was really cute. I highly recommend it. I think you guys would like it.
Okay. Yeah, we just finished our Game of Thrones marathon. I was screaming at the TV, so angry.
I know.
It's really
brave.
It honestly is so fucking rushed because I'm like, wait, how are they like so in love with each other? Jon Snow and Dany, because it like happened.
No,
everything is so
in 3
fast.
seconds. You're like, wait, what?
Well, and you know what? It wouldn't be so bad if they'd set the show up from the beginning at that pace. But in the beginning, do you remember it took them like 2 full seasons to travel from like one side of Westeros to the other, and then like
That's exactly right.
in the last season, it's just like 2 episodes.
Yeah,
and you're like,
we're
what?
beyond the wall. Like it's so.
Yeah, Jamie somehow makes it from the north to
and
like
his whole story.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
What the fuck? Fuck
For
Brienne, right? And then he's just like, bye, ghosts. And I'm like, it
doesn't make sense.
It just makes me so angry.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I'm glad to be.
Yeah, that I have a love-hate relationship with that show because I love like the first few seasons are some of the best TV.
Yes,
but
the last 2 episodes or 2 seasons are just
sign up for heartbreak.
And here's the other thing too, like the production and the production design for the final seasons, so good. Really, truly incredible. Like battle scenes and stuff.
But it was so dark. You don't remember everybody
remember that. Yeah.
complained about like how bad.
We've got better TVs now, I think. So I did not feel like it was too dark at all.
I did on my rewatch, but I have the same TV I had, so that's probably why.
I just remember I was like, I can't see shit.
Yeah, Battle of the Bastards. I'm like, I think cool stuff's happening. I have
no clue.
We did have to take a break because I was like, the other night, I was like, I cannot watch another Game of Thrones episode. I'm gonna
That'll
scream.
happen. Yeah.
And we watched The Fall Guy with
cute.
Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. So I got high, and
seems like
I
a good
was
high movie.
What is happening? That movie is wacky as shit. Because I was like, wait,
so wacky.
Is he in the CIA or something? It was so confusing. Don't get high and watch it. Because I was like,
no.
Wait, I thought he was just a stunt man. I was so confused.
That was my impression.
Yeah, he was
from the trailer.
But
what if it's so straightforward, but Christina was just really stoned?
It is very strange. They explain it.
Yeah, I don't really remember the explanation, but I was just like, what is happening? Just laughing. So, definitely recommend.
That's funny. I have been watching Real Housewives of New York, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this because if this was my first season of Housewives, I'd be like, well, maybe this is just how Housewives make me feel. But that's not the case because I've watched several seasons of Housewives. Is it good TV? Will I keep watching it? Yes. Do I think...
Is it good TV?
Am I going to keep watching it? Absolutely. But like, there's these women in particular, and maybe I've just lived on the West Coast for too long. That is a real possibility that it's me. Mm-hmm. That I've lived on the West Coast for too long because I'm like, these women in particular are so weird and aggravating me to a degree where I'm like, do I want to turn this off? I'm getting angry.
Yeah,
The
coast. It gives the coasts
all
are
of
very
the eat the rich
different
vibes. You just were like, fuck these
Beverly
bitches.
Hills did that too, but there was like a whimsy to Beverly Hills that is lacking in New York, where I'm like, yes, did Lisa Vanderpump have more money than God? And like, is that kind of sickening and disgusting? Yes.
Yeah.
But it's hard to be upset when it's like she's got a giant adult swing with roses on it in her backyard and mini ponies and swans. And I'm like, okay, well,
in a dog rescue business.
Right. Where I'm just like, there's a whimsical nature to like a lot of the rich people antics that happen in Beverly Hills that
are not there for New York.
It's not there for New York. They're just very intense.
Does it feel a little like old money versus new money kind of thing? Where it's just like,
yes.
you know,
you've got Hollywood, some of the old money, quote unquote, old money in Beverly Hills is like Hollywood old money,
right?
Which is very different from Wall Street old money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
They got like a couple hundred years on it.
Yes, and it is the level of pretentious for the New York franchise is just a lot higher. I mean, they still. I'm gonna keep watching it. Let's not beat around the bush here, but
nice.
Yeah, you haven't met Carolyn yet. That was her name.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Or Carol.
I haven't.
Yes.
No, not yet.
Yeah. There's so many people you haven't met yet.
I know. I'm looking forward to Dorinda. I did hear that the drunken antics on New York are some of the most wild. So
when Luann goes on vacation and hooks up, just text me.
Luann
text me.
The level of delusion that these women suffer under. Luann is a countess who is married to a count. And the way that I'm like, you're a countess, you're all Miss Manners, but then she released a album or like released a single and performed it.
Yes.
No.
And I'm like, this is not, you're not Erica Jane. You
delusional.
Can't do this.
Delusional to the point where like when Erica Jane came on the show, I had a moment where I was like, oh no, this is going to be Luann. This is going to be like that. And I was like, oh no, this bitch knows what's up. Okay, never mind.
Or like not even like Kim Zolciak, who also had a single, but I'm like, yeah, but somehow that makes sense. You know, from Atlanta. I was like, that tracks. Like she would have that. But I'm like, Luann, Upper East Side, married to French aristocracy and looking down on everybody else. You're going to release a party track? I don't understand.
It's desperate is what it's giving.
Oh my God. Everyone who doesn't care about Housewives is like, stop.
Music engineer for a project like that.
He's there and he's talking. He's like, I think Luann has a great voice. Meanwhile, she's off key.
Awful.
God.
Awful. It's awful.
It's it's a study of human behavior, truly. Like that.
Truly.
Wow.
Anthropologists will look back someday. And be
I have a sociology degree now from having watched all these seasons.
Millions of years in the future, when that signal reaches an intelligent civilization, what do you think they got to think?
I don't know. They're like, this is the top of this is
woo child, the ghetto.
A white refrigerator, not a white refrigerator, honey. Put on your shoes. Gotta go get you a home. All right. Anybody who's not watched Housewives is so over this conversation.
Amazing though. If you guys have something that we should watch, if you have a terrible date story, if you got tips on how we can take this feet picture business idea to the moon, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com, and we love you so much. Cheers.